My experience with the man in person, one event which he himself has most likely forgotten, at which we both read, showed me 600 teenaged and elderly fans screaming, "Jim!" He sang that night the song that goes, "These are people who have died, who have died." Tonight, we have with us a person who's alive, who's very much alive, to the rich textures and wildnesses of daily American living, all while bending our ears, our eyes with language. It's time for you to welcome Jim Carroll.
Just going to start off with a quick, I wanted to read a quick bit of this new novel that I have, and I think I've read this small piece before, but my printer wasn't working on my thing, so I couldn't get the new one out. It's hard to read it. You know, if you just read it, you have to read too long, and I want to just read the poem, so. But just start with this. This guy's up on top of the protagonist is up on top of the Empire State Building, looking out. And he's just came from like a 30-day self-exile after being in the psychiatric ward for a week in his loft. He's a famous painter from this book I'm writing. So here, he's up on the top of the Empire State Building. It wasn't a good day to be looking out from the heights. Haze enveloped the city, that gray, which comes less from pollution and more from the heart. Still, Billy could make out the bridges leading into the outer boroughs. He'd see jets landing at LaGuardia. He wondered if one really could see as far as Connecticut under perfect conditions, as he once read. He felt in his pocket for some change and was surprised to find 2 quarters. He usually never carried loose change. It was some idiotic maxim of Denny's, his rock and roll star friend, which he of course always followed. It ruins the cut of your pants, Denny would offer, and discombobulates your package, sexually speaking. There's nothing worse than a rocker on stage with coins and hotel keys and stuff bulging out of his trousers. It ruins your seamlessness. When Billy replied that he was not a rocker and was never on stage, then he shot back, "You're always on stage in this city, man." He put the quarters in the slot on a tourist telescope perched on the rail. After swinging at 90 degrees towards New Jersey and winding up on the dim marshlands near Secaucus, he aimed the device straight uptown, hoping to catch a view of his old neighborhood. Through the overcast, you could barely make out the tower in Highbridge Park. Trying to adjust the focus dial, the telescope slipped from Billy's hand. When he looked back through the lens, it was aimed straight into an office building about 15 blocks uptown. There was a man sitting on his desk in a very exorbitant suite. Billy could have sworn that it was John Garfield, the movie star. It was a young, tough, and handsome Garfield from They Made Me a Criminal or Body and Soul. But Billy knew that John Garfield died under shadowy circumstances in a whorehouse in France 20 years before. A bird suddenly landed on the ledge of the office, and the John Garfield look-alike went over to the window and for some reason seemed to be making gestures at the bird. like a crow. Then a large-breasted blonde woman entered the room with a small green box. She looked exactly like the actress Jane Mansfield, but he knew Jane Mansfield had also died years ago, decapitated in a freak auto accident on a foggy highway in Louisiana. She handed him the box and began caressing his hair as he opened it. Just as he undid the clasp and raised the lid, the lenses went black. Billy's quarter had run out. His time was done. Billy walked out of the Empire State Building disappointed. He thought that the soaring view would scatter the demons from his head, but now he felt worse. The gloomy weather had squashed the cathartic vista, and all he had left from his trip up high was the haunting image of two photographs, not to mention Joan Garfield, the bird, the Jane Mansfield look-alike, and the green box. The green box, whose context tense remained a mystery. The falling shutters of the telescope had made certain of that. This is what the world does to you when you pay attention too closely, he thought. The shutters slam down before the final clues appear, before the chain is connected and the fine details are resolved. There are never enough quarters. Even if there were, vanity would prevent us from keeping them ready in our pockets. Their bulge would ruin the cut of our pants.